Chers amis, welcome to the Geneva Press Club and welcome to this side event of the 57th Human Rights Council. This conference is dedicated to the theme Diasporas and Minority Rights, Opportunities Arising from Challenges. Welcome to the organizers of this event, who are the Independent Center for Research and Initiatives for Dialogue, and also the Training Center for the Development of Ex-Combatants, autrement dit, the CEDAC. And I am very glad to give the floor to the person who will be your moderator this afternoon, Mr. Abdelaziz Mohamed. Mr. Mohamed is the main representative of the Centre d'encadrement et de développement des anciens combattants, CEDAC, the Center for Training and Development of Ex-Combatants. Mr. Mohamed, you have the floor for the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, the director. It's such an honor and a privilege to moderate this very rich and fruitful session. And I strongly believe that all our panelists, they have so much to offer and they have so much to share with us. So I want to welcome you on behalf of the CEDAC as an organization who's organizing this event with the CIRID. We are organizing this event and we also want to bring all the diaspora together. Allow me to say good afternoon, salam alaikum, bonjour, buenas tardes, à tout le monde. Donc it is a distinguished guest and panelists and member of the audience. I'm an honor to welcome you all on this side event on the diaspora and the minority rights. The opportunity arising from the challenges organized by the Center of the Research and in collaboration with CEDAC. As we gather here today on the sideline of the 57th session of the Human Rights Council, we have a crucial opportunity to explore how the diaspora and the minority community, despite the challenges they are facing, and they can contribute positively to their society. Diaspora are pivotal in their promoting human rights, fostering dialogues, and driving the development across the border. Today, we will discuss on the issue that contribute the right of the minority groups and the pathway toward the better inclusion and empowerment, and most for all is justice. And our esteemed panelists, I have introduced before, but I'm going to introduce once again, each leader in their fields, bringing different perspective and invaluable expertise. And I look forward to facilitate this rich dialogues and addressing the press issue and turning the challenge into opportunities. Without further ado, allow me to start with to introduce our panelists. We will have a video play from Anwar Mehmood Rahmani. He's an international associate Ahmadiyya architect engineering. Anwar has sent us his intervention on video, so we will play later on. And the second we have Boussif, the president of Sahara Observatory for the economic and social development. And she also going to share her view about the right of the minority and the migrants in North Africa and the challenges that they are facing. The third speakers, this is from the first panelist, will be Habib Rahmani, the coordinator at the International Charity Center, Qatar International Organization, and also he's a member of the Center of Independent and Research Initiative pour la Dialogue. Donc he's also from Pakistan, and he's a political refugee in Canada, and Habib will be focusing on the human rights violation in Pakistan, and in particularly in the Kashmir region. So without further ado, allow me to start to introduce the first question that Anwar is going to talk about. It's the challenges that the Ahmadiyya community facing in Pakistan. So I'll allow you to play the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and advocates of human rights, it is both a privilege and a responsibility to speak before you today as a representative of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community that has long been at the forefront of both innovation and humanitarian services, yet has, and continue to face systematic persecution. For decades, the Ahmadiyya community in Pakistan has been denied even the most basic democratic rights, including the right of the vote. Discrimination against Ahmadis is not only enshrined in Pakistani law, but entrenched in nearly every facet of life: employment, education, and even access to the fundamental human rights. This has driven many of our brightest minds to seek refuge in other nations, where they can contribute their talents without fear of persecution. One example from my own life is that as an Ahmadi Muslim, I am now standing as a candidate in the Swiss provincial elections. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity which Switzerland has provided me to serve my community, the broader society, and my nation, an opportunity that stands in stark contrast to the limited rights I had in my birthplace. This is not only an isolated case. The world highly honored scientist Dr. Abdul Salam, a physics Nobel Prize winner, and Sir Muhammad Zafarullah Khan, the Pakistan's first foreign minister and the president of the International Court of Justice and the former president to the United Nations General Assembly, are just two examples of prominent Ahmadi figures who, though forced to leave Pakistan, but were welcomed by the West, where their contributions to the humanity at large were celebrated and appreciated. Our community has not only focused on individual success. Through the International Association of Ahmadi Architects and Engineers, IAAE, we have been deeply engaged in humanitarian efforts that align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, whether it is providing clean water, developing renewable energy, microgrids, or constructing essential village infrastructure in some of the world's most disadvantaged regions. Our commitment all delivered by the volunteers and continues to scale. These contributions are not just about building structures, they are about building hope and resilience. The Ahmadiyya community's guiding principle of love for all, hatred for none translates into action across the world. In regions where development aid is scarce, we have been able to uplift lives, enhance education, and improve health care. In closing, our contribution to humanity, even in the face of severe persecution, speaks to our enduring spirit. Whether through individuals like Dr. Abdul Salam or community efforts such as IAA's work in developing nations, we remain steadfast in our mission to serve humanity and uphold the dignity of every person, no matter the challenges we face. And at the last, I want to thank the organizers of CIRID for this opportunity to share a few words, and may we all continue our shared work for a more just and inclusive world. I thank you.
Thank you. We want to thank Anwar for his intervention, even though he's not with us here, but we feel from his intervention that he gave us a feeling that he's here in this, room with us. So we appreciate him. And now we are coming back to our panelists. And as we said, even though we do have a gender balance here in this panel, and allow me to say that I think I'll have to start with Gajmoula Boussif. You have a 5 minute. And as I said before, she's going to speak about the rights of the minority and the migrants in the North Africa, and including the challenges that they are facing. You have the floor.
Thank you. أولاً بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. بداية أشكركم على هذه الفرصة لتناول موضوع حقوق المهاجرين والأقليات، والتي هي قضية عالمية قدم لها المغرب ولا زال يقدم استجابة، لا سيما فيما يتعلق بالمهاجرين سيرتو من جنوب الصحراء الكبرى وغيرهم من اللاجئين. إن حقوق المهاجرين والأقليات هي قضية عالمية لا زال المغرب يقدم فيها استجابة ملحوظة. ومنذ عام 2007 يلتزم المغرب بإنشاء شبكة من مراكز استقبال المهاجرين واللاجئين وملتمسي اللجوء بالشراكة مع مفوضية الأمم المتحدة لشؤون اللاجئين. أنشأ المركز الأول بالرباط، تلاه السلا والدار البيضاء سيدي مومن ووجدة، حيث باتت أدوار هذه المراكز تتخطى الأدوار التقليدية كتوفير المأوى والطعام، لتشمل كذلك تقديم الرعاية والدعم النفسي، كذلك توفير الدعم الاجتماعي، بالإضافة إلى التعليم للآلاف المهاجرين كل عام. تشتغل هذه المراكز بشراكة مع منظمات مثل UNHCR، CEDAC، وهي مساحات حيث يمكن للمهاجرين الوصول إلى التدريب اللغوي سواء باللهجة المغربية الدارجة أو الفرنسية أو حتى الإنجليزية، والاستفادة من برامج تعليم للأطفال في المدارس العمومية المغربية. بالنسبة لهذه الفئة يتم كذلك تقديم تكوين مهني ملائم لتسهيل الاندماج الاقتصادي للمهاجرين في مختلف قطاعات الأنشطة. تلعب مؤسسة الشرق الغرب دورا محوريا في هذه المبادرة، حيث ترتكز جهودها على تحقيق الاكتفاء الذاتي للمهاجرين من خلال إنشاء تعاونيات أو اقتراح الأنشطة الثقافية متواترة لتعزيز الحوار بين الثقافات والتكامل الاجتماعي. وتجدر الإشارة إلى أن الفئات الأكثر هشاشة مثل الأطفال غير مصحوبين بذويهم والأشخاص ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة والنساء المعرضات للخطر يتمتعون بالوصول خاصة إلى مساكن آمنة وغرف الطوارئ. هذا من جهة. من جهة أخرى الإدماج الاقتصادي للمهاجرين في المغرب. استطاع الاقتصاد المغربي اليوم استيعاب جزء كبير من المهاجرين، خاصة في مدن الدار البيضاء وطنجة والداخلة والعيون، حيث يساهمون بشكل فعال في النشاط الاقتصادي المحلي. في مدينة الداخلة والعيون الأقاليم الجنوبية للمملكة المغربية على وجه الخصوص يعمل العديد من المهاجرين في قطاع الصيد البحري، بينما يعمل آخرون في التجارة والخدمات ومجموعة من الهياكل الأخرى أو القطاعات الأخرى. وقد استفادت هاتان المدينتان بشكل خاص من الالتزام المغربي بتنمية المنطقة وتشجيع اندماج المهاجرين اقتصاديا واجتماعيا وثقافيا حتى سياسيا. الوضع في تندوف هي مأساة اليوم إنسانية، وعلى النقيض من هذه الجهود والرامية بالأساس إلى إدماج اللاجئين في بلدان الاستقبال وفي ظل ظروف حسنة تحفظ أدميتهم وتكفل لهم أو تكفل لهم العيش الكريم، فمن الأهمية بمكان تسليط الضوء على الوضع المؤسف الذي يعيشه الصحراويين المحتجزون بمخيمات تندوف بالجزائر تحت سيطرة جبهة البوليساريو، حيث يسود هناك نظام القمع والتجهيل والحرمان من مباشرة الحقوق السياسية والاقتصادية وحرية التنقل. هذه المخيمات حيث لا صوت يعلو على صوت الانتهاكات الصارخة والمستمرة لحقوق الإنسان، بما في ذلك العنصرية الممنهجة ضد الأقليات السوداء، والتي غالبا ما يسمى بالعبيد أو الحراطين، وهم أحفاد العبيد الذين لم يتخلصوا من وصمة ماضيهم في العبودية والرق، وبالرغم أنهم باتوا أحرارا وفق نواميس الكونية وحقوق الإنسان الأساسية كما هو متعارف عليها دوليا. كما أن طغيان المنطق القبلي في هذه المخيمات يبقى هؤلاء السكان تحت ظروف هشة ومحفوظة بالمخاطر، حيث تقع فئات عديدة من الضحايا للتمييز العنصري. نحن اليوم نقدم دعوة للمجتمع المدني أو المجتمع المدني الدولي، وكذلك لكل منخرطي أو دول أعضاء بالأمم المتحدة. يتعين على المجتمع الدولي اليوم الضغط على الجزائر وجبهة البوليساريو لإنهاء هذه الانتهاكات وتوفير الحماية اللازمة للصحراويين المحتجزين في مخيمات تندوف. كما يجب على الأمم المتحدة والمفوضية السامية للاجئين السماح بوصول مساعدات الإنسانية إلى هذه المخيمات وضمان استفادة اللاجئين الصحراويين من كل الضمانات المخولة لهم في هذا الإطار.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but ممكن لو سمحت يعني في 30 ثانية، يختصر في 30 ثانية.
أوكي. يثبت المغرب اليوم من خلال تجربته الرائدة على المستوى الإقليمي أنه من الممكن استقبال المهاجرين واللاجئين وتوفير الحماية لهم بطريقة تكفل إنسانيتهم وكرامتهم. ومع ذلك فإن التحديات لا زالت قائمة، ويتطلب الأمر مزيدا من الجهود من أجل تحقيق اندماج اجتماعي واقتصادي كامل لهذه الفئات. وشكرا. أعتذر.
شكرا جزيلا. Thank you for your intervention, and my apologies to all the audience that I forgot to mention. There will be a transcript that translated in French later on that we will distribute it to all our guests and also to including the panelists. So it's sincerely my apology. We will move on to. Non, je vous en prie, parce que j'ai en train de regarder les traducteurs avant. Mais ouais, je vous laisse 2-3 minutes pour résumer, s'il vous plaît. Juste les résumer. Ouais.
Ok. Merci beaucoup. Donc, tout d'abord, il a remercié les organisations pour organiser cette panel qui est important. Donc, il a parlé des droits de l'homme depuis 2007. Il a fait un aperçu sur les bonnes pratiques que le Maroc a fait durant ces dernières années, à savoir le partenariat avec le Haut Commissariat des droits de l'homme au Maroc, aussi les centres d'accueil qui sont à Rabat et Casa, à Agadir et à Oujda. Aussi, il a parlé du partenariat, la formation linguistique, l'intégration des migrants dans la société civile, dans l'accès à la santé, l'accès aux différents aspects sociaux. Donc aussi, il a parlé de l'inclusion économique. Donc j'ai parlé de ça. À Tanger et à Dakhla. À Dakhla, il a donné un exemple. Il y a beaucoup des immigrants qui sont adaptés et inclus dans la société civile. Il a fait aussi un focus sur la situation des tragédies humaines, surtout dans les camps de Tindouf, où il y a les violations systématiques envers les minorités noires, à savoir l'esclavage et tout ça. Il s'appelle, surtout, on l'appelle les haratines, les habites. le tribalisme qui est ici. Donc aussi, à la fin, il a fait une demande, une recommandation à la communauté internationale, au Haut Commissariat des droits de l'homme, de surveiller et faire des fact-minding mission dans les camps de Tindouf pour pouvoir aussi améliorer la situation des migrants et les minorités à Tindouf. Et merci.
Shukran, merci beaucoup pour la traduction. Et je présente encore pour la deuxième fois notre excuse. Donc, I will present my apologies for the lack of the coordination from the beginning. And I will assure you that the rest of our panelists, they are all going to speak in English. So feel free to take a note and also prepare your question. We will have a time for the question from the audience. So last but not least, we are going to give the floor to to Habib Rahmani. I'm not going to go back to what I have said before about your what you do, but I'm also going to mention that what you are going to speak about, so at least our audience will be aware of what you are going to speak about. So Habib, as I said, you are a political refugee in Canada. That's first thing. It gives you more advantage, and you are also considered one of the minority in this building. Two, you are also going to focus on the human rights violation in Pakistan, and particularly in the Kashmir region. And also it's a part of the reason why you left your own country and you seek for a political protection in Canada. So you have the floor. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you for having me here to talk with a remarkable gathering on the 57 Human Rights Council session as a side event in Geneva Press Club. It's a great opportunity for me to express myself, my people, my region, and as well as my state. I would like to bring your notice the ongoing human rights abuses in Pakistani held Azad Jammu Kashmir, where the population has been deprived of their political, social, and economic rights since the occupation on October 22nd, 1947, at the time of the division of the subcontinent. However, the non-violent civil rights movement has been arisen and was forcefully crushed by the Pakistani authorities since May 11, 2024. Until now, residents of the AJK have been demonstration against the unfair taxes and utility bills walking toward Muzaffarabad, the capital of the Azad Jammu Kashmir Pakistani held area. Pakistani Rangers and Punjab Constabulary violently dispersed the protests, resulting in the tragic death of the 3 youth on May 13, 2024. The state declined to prove the entity accountable for this violence and opted to press charges against 55 peaceful demonstrators instead. Upon receiving direction from the Pakistan, 3 political activists, one of whom is the female university students, was accused of violating the harsh blasphemy law, leading to the arrest and grant of the female student. Furthermore, on August 13, 2024, a young activist named Raja Zarnosh was arrested in my native district, Bagh, AJK, and his current location is still undisclosed. This is the overview of the present circumstances. I am seeking the forum attention to address this issue and implore Pakistan to stop these brutal actions. This is briefly my...
Thank you, Habib. Thank you.
Yes. And just I want to share, because I am the citizen of the former state of Jammu Kashmir, which was occupied by the Pakistan in October 22, 1947. From that time up to now, we are suffering by all kind of the brutalities, all state oppressions, everything is there. Because, you know, Pakistan have the one political party, one political power, that is Pakistan Army. They control everything. They brutally deny the right of the people. Not only this, Ahmadi communities, the genocide in Balochistan as well, all the people knows, and in Sindh, in Pashtun, and everywhere is happened. So I seeking to this forum to raise this question, to accountable the Pakistan in international, through the international community, to save our people and to save our people's rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Habib, for your intervention, and it's really so resourceful, and also thanks for the taking in consideration the timing. So I really appreciate that. And allow me also to, before we transition to the second panelist, thank you, the first panelist, for such, insightful perspective. And we have heard the highlights that the eminent potential diaspora have shared, and in the global conversation around the human rights and the development. However, this opportunity comes significantly the challenges, including the issue of discrimination has been raised, the issue of the prosecution has been raised, and also the complexity that the migrants are facing, and in particular also in the North Africa, I will say in general, but in particular also Morocco. Without further ado, allow me to introduce the second panelist, and we are going to start with Carl-Gustav. He's a founder and the president of CIRID Africa and the Scandinavian America. So Carl, he's going to talk to us about the developments in the region. Carl, you have the floor. And just to mention that you have 5 minutes in case.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aziz. The question actually is about finding solutions to all these problems that exist around the world. Currently, there's I counted the other day, over 60 conflicts ongoing in the world that mostly have due since over 50 years, as you were talking about Jammu and Kashmir. The same thing, there's different areas of the world like the Sahara, and I maybe would like to stay on that for a simple reason, because my late friend Kofi Annan, he went on about Western Sahara, and he said there's so much potential there and so on. And that's what I want to dream on, that thanks to the international community recently bringing in the fact that Western Sahara has so much potential, and that Morocco is really the traditional right to that area, and that now they've offered it autonomy. I think the time is ripe now for entrepreneurship to see a face there rather than migration and trouble and conflict. So that's what I'm all about. There's 3 areas that I think we should look at there, and that is real estate, because the growth of the population. The second thing is agriculture, and the third thing has to do with healthcare. I have a company that's called CEDAC Africa. CEDAC stands for Social Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Development Strategies. And that's what we specialize in, especially in Africa, of course, because there's 1 billion jobs that have to be created there by 2063. And I think that, wherever we can start really moving entrepreneurship onto the scale there, and coming away from a lot of the traditional financial problems that exist, or the system that was set up after the Second World War, which essentially was very good for Europe and Japan, but at the cost of the Global South. I think that has to change now. The Global South is the richest place on earth, both in terms of humanity, of wisdom, of natural resources, and it's time for industrialization in the fourth industrial revolution to take place. And I think they are extremely well situated for that. Over the next 30 years, it's expected that up to 50% of the world's population will become migrants. Why do we have to have migration from Africa when it has all their natural resources and everything? Starting with Morocco, with Western Sahara. I mean, what a beautiful place. They have the seashore, they have everything they have going for them. So that's basically my message. What are the possibilities to get people to move, to master their destiny? And you can master your destiny in one way. It's taking the courage to believe in what you are, in who you are, and then to grow up your industry around that. Each place is contextual. So I mean, depending on the town, the city, the region, and so on, we can formulate different solutions to each place. And I think that's really the hope I have. I've been active on 4 continents. I've set up more than 300 companies as a social entrepreneur. And the way I look at it is that, you know, we talked about Jammu and Kashmir, we talked about Pakistan and the Ahmadiyya community that's run all over the world now because they have to leave Pakistan. The same thing exists in 60 other places. Let's make Africa the hub of the world. Let's make it the place where finance and so on is created, where it is used effectively, and not only borrowed money, because that's where the riches come from. I don't have much else to say except that, what did I put on the bottom of my speech here? A call to action. Let us unite supporting the pathway to peace and prosperity by fostering local governance and encouraging entrepreneurship that we can ensure a brighter future for the people of the southern provinces of Morocco. CIRID proposes the Moroccan people pathway to a bright future based on the following: a summit of civil society organizations for the 6th African Union region and African countries represented in southern provinces of Morocco. African integration is the future we want. Economic and social and cultural rights of the women and the elderly in the 6 AU region, African Union regions. 4th, enhanced policy of investment and job creation on the continent through African Continental Free Trade Area. And 5, protocol for the freedom of movement of people, including youth, launch dialogues for Pan-African citizenship. All this is to give the identity and the dignity back to the African people. And that's what we're all about, dignity. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl, for your intervention. And it's, as we said, you have managed the time, and congratulations. Let us move to the next speaker. Unfortunately, Eric is not, we still are not able to join Eric. So we are going to apologize for the inconvenience and also the technical error that I think occur in between us and Eric on the other side. So that will lead us to give the floor to Dr. Rehman Zaman. He's the Egyptian community of the Balkan, North Macedonia, offering insight on the Balkan Egyptian diaspora and how the ethnic minority integrate into a broader national form. And the question will be, how does the integration of the Egyptian, especially and particularly in the North Macedonians, go, and what sort of challenges that have they faced? You have the floor.
Thank you, moderator. It's very nice to be here today. Even you give me a question now, but I have my PowerPoint presentation as we make the agreement previously with the organizers. So I don't know now, should I keep the PowerPoint presentation or just to answer the question?
No, absolutely, you're free. You can go with your PowerPoint, and if you've got some couple of seconds just to briefly say, I believe that in your PowerPoint it has mentioned some of the...
Yeah, it's mentioned, but also I make some common terminology with the Pakistan issue, yes. He is there, and for that reason, okay.
So you have 5 minutes, go ahead.
Oh, it's a big problem. Okay, first of all, it was the question, the challenge of the Balkan Egyptian was recognizing their identity, because recognition of the identity actually is the most accurate issue generally of all community, even what we have in Pakistan with Ahmadiyya community, and not only the Pakistan and Balkan Egyptian issue, but generally recognition of the identity is the most accurate issue. Without recognition of identity, it's not possible of integration in a society, it's not possible to have social cohesion and so on. And for that reason, actually, the most important things of the Egyptian was integration, the recognition of identity. For that reason, the struggle was, where is going on? Yeah, this is back, yes. Okay. It was recognition is not mean just to be recognized by the government, that is recognition is mean also in education, in social services, everywhere. For that reason, the most challenges, not only North Macedonia, because the community is not living only in Macedonia. The biggest number is in Albania. Here with me is Rivelino Ciuno. He is the president of the political party of Egyptian in Albania also. And he actually in Albania, I think that I had this slide for Albania, but maybe we'll see later. Actually, the biggest community, and it was the biggest discrimination. So also the Balkan Egyptians are facing with racial discrimination. It's also one very big issue that also it was an obstacle for their integration in society. Okay, I have 5 minutes, I have some slides. These are from the protests in El Tirana in Albania, some photos when the Egyptian asked to be recognized with the status in Albania, but the same efforts were in Macedonia, in Serbia, in Montenegro, and how we can call now Kosovo and Metohija under the United Resolution, the 1244, okay, also in Pristina, it was the issue of recognition of identity. But now we have, after struggling and fight of, let's say, 20 years, today we have a very good situation that, for example, in Albania, the Egyptians are recognized in a law for protection of national minorities. They are mentioned there. In Serbia, also they are recognized. Also we have in Montenegro, and in this provisional, how to say, constitution of Kosovo under the unique resolution is there in the constitution. They are mentioning, they have an reserve seat. The main problem still we're keeping in Macedonia. We have to change the constitution next year. And also another very big challenging obstacle was that the Egyptians, they actually were very mixed and confused with the Roma community, who is actually coming from India because of the racial discrimination and equalization. Many times they are, and the politics of the states are making together with the Roma community, even they have a totally different ethnogenesis and identity. But how to say, the problems, the issues in the society are much more the equal. And now, for example, what is the last issue for Albania? We have the census 2021, and the result was appeared a few months ago. And generally, it's a big problem in Albania to make a statistic, because statistic is very important if we wanted to make integration in society. But generally, Albania is saying that only 2% of population are all minorities, and from those, the Egyptians are 12,000, but 12,000 are the second, actually, community as a minority in Albania. Now, all this, you see in the picture here, all these people are from different minorities in Albania. They are asking to make a new census, to have much more statistical data because of making much more constructive politics, of course. Yes, this is from the screening report in Albania, because Albania is very close to start negotiations for EU integration, and these are some issues that are actually put in the screening report of the European Union regarding the Egyptian community. I will not read. This is one segregation, actually. In this photo, you see how the Egyptian children are separated from the other children, even it was a holiday celebration there. And it was a very big issue of racial discrimination. And actually, not only in this Kosovo under the unique resolution 1244, but generally this kind of segregation we have in Albania and Montenegro, and we are facing also with this issue. Okay, this is the issue regarding the asking in North Macedonia, the Egyptian and some other minorities like Bulgarians, Torbeshi, to be put it in the constitution of Macedonia. I think that the issue will be solved in this or next year before the negotiation for the European Union starting. And then the Egyptians will have much more rights as they have the other minorities, 5 minorities that are mentioned in the constitution. Also, this is one kind of discrimination because they are, how to say, divided on 2 groups, mentioned and not mentioned in the constitution, which also is against the international convention. Okay, we speak about something. Pakistan don't want to keep much more, but generally, when you're talking for, let's say, for the Pakistan issue, and we're talking for Balkan Egyptian issue, but in the Balkan, we still have so-called negative concept of the protection of minorities. Does it mean that the state is not reacting directly if we have some violation of the rights, but the state is reacting when we have some complaints and, when we have some accusations in a court and so on, and the positive concept means that the ombudsman or the public prosecution will have to react immediately by automatism. So what we have actually this in Balkan for Egyptian, we have in Pakistan and so on. The state must to react automatically as a prosecutor, not to ask somebody to make the complaints. For that reason, we have to move generally when talking for minority rights in the issue of positive concept of the protection of minorities. And generally, we have still the issue of anti-discrimination. Also, what Carl here spoke, and also Rivellino is taking this approach that now it's time to go much more on the economic development. We have to not to put back, but much more this issue of identity, of migration, and so on are not, let's say, in a security level. Now that one little bit improve it, and now we have to go to the stage of economic development and integration for social cohesion. For that reason, yes, for that reason, I am totally agree what Carl is saying, and also Rivellino, maybe later you will talk about that, we have to go to the next stage. But of course, what is going on with the Pakistan, we still don't have a place to talk about let's say, the next level, the social security level. Thank you very much. I hope I'm in time.
Thank you. Thank you for your intervention. Thank you, Dr. Rehman, for your intervention and also for bringing some of the insight and the challenges that the Egyptian community are facing in the Balkan. And we really appreciate your intervention. So now we are moving to our next speaker will be Joel Hakim Maniz. Yeah, so I'm always having trouble mentioning, but forgive me for that. So he is the Swiss platform for Pan-Africanism NGO within ECOSOC. And Joel is going to offer us, an insight into how the Diaspora organization can influence the international decision-making. This is one. Two, also he's going to talk to us a little bit about the contribution of the diaspora community who are abroad, their contribution toward their countries of origin. And on top of that, also he's going to talk about the 6th African economical region. So you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have a petition. This petition is addressed to His Excellency, Mr. Omar Sniba, Permanent Representative of the Kingdom of Morocco to the United Nations Office at Geneva, and President of the Human Rights Council. This petition is for the representation of the Pan-African diaspora and people of African descent in the Parliament of the African Union. I will read it. Your Excellency, Mr. Omar Sniba, Permanent Representative of the Kingdom of Morocco to the United Nations Office at Geneva, President of the Human Rights Council. On behalf of the Swiss platform of ECOSOC Pan-African NGOs, we extend our highest compliments to His Majesty's King Mohammed VI on his 25 years of leadership in the Pan-African community. On this special occasion, we respectfully seek the support of His Majesty and the Kingdom of Morocco for the representation of the Swiss African Union region, comprising the Pan-African diaspora and people of African descent in the Parliament of the African Union. This petition is deeply inspired by the pioneering spirit of Pan-Africanism, following in the footsteps of visionaries like Henry Sylvester Williams in 1900. Williams organized the first Pan-African conference in London, where he submitted a petition to Queen Victoria advocating for the rights of people of African descent to play a leading role in the development of Africa. Just as Williams called for the global recognition of African contribution, we submit this petition in hopes of advancing democratic representation for the Pan-African diaspora in today's African Union. Your Excellency, we respectfully present this petition during this today's press conference at the Swiss Press Club, and we kindly request your esteemed office to convey our appeal to Rabat. We seek the valuable assistance of His Majesty King Mohammed VI in advocating for the formal representation of the Pan-African diaspora and people of African descent in the Parliament of African Union. The ambassadors, members of the press, distinguished delegates of the 57th Human Rights Council, CIRID, the Independent Center for Research and Initiative for Dialogue, has enjoyed a privileged partnership with the Kingdom of Morocco since its establishment in 1996. Under the leadership of our president, Mr. Deo Hakizimana, CIRID was founded to promote dialogue in African international relations. In 2016, with the endorsement of the President of Senegal, CIRID launched the Pan-African Award for Dialogue, with His Majesty King Mohammed VI graciously accepting the position of chairperson of the honorary committee. This award has since been granted to prominent figures, including Emperor Moro Naba of Burkina Faso and Mama Ngina Kenyatta, mother of the Kenyan nation, in recognition of their efforts toward peace and unity in Africa. It is with this framework of collaboration and shared commitment to African unity that we now call upon His Majesty's support for the institutionalization of the 6th African Union region, representing the Pan-African diaspora and people of African descent. What is the 6th African Union region? The 6th region was conceived in 2004 with the launch of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, when African leaders recognized 5 economic communities at the foundation for Africa's development, meaning Central Africa, East Africa, Southern Africa, West Africa, and North Africa. When African leaders recognized the 5 regional economic communities as the foundation for Africa's development, Senegal proposed the creation of a 6th region. This one is composed of African migrants and people of African descent, who contribute significantly to the continent's growth. Today, we call for the formal institutionalization of this region, which would be equipped with its own parliament, passport, and bank similar to the other African Union regions. A call to action. The time for action is upon us. As we enter an era of unprecedented global interconnectedness and African economic integration, the formal recognition of the 6th African Union region is essential for the African Continental Free Trade Area Treaty, which came into force in 2019, allows for the free circulation of goods across signatory countries. We strongly believe that the Free Movement Protocol should be extended to include the 6th region, enabling people of African descent to fully participate in Africa's development. Under the leadership of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God assist him, we have a unique opportunity to advance the cause of the Pan-African diaspora. We respectfully request that the African Union take formal steps to organize a summit for the 6th region, gathering civil society leaders and government representatives to strategize its institutionalization. A Swiss African region exists. Switzerland is home to a significant African diaspora, particularly citizens of Moroccan descent, which presents a unique opportunity for collaboration. We request the cooperation of the Moroccan Mission and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights to organize a side event at the upcoming Social Forum. This event would bring together civil society leaders from the African diaspora in Switzerland, to draft a plan for the region's development. We are confident that a second conference hosted in the Kingdom of Morocco would provide the ideal platform for civil society organizations of the 6th African Union region to gather, strategize, and formalize their representation in the African Union Parliament under the auspices of His Majesty King Mohammed VI. In conclusion, we express our deepest gratitude to His Majesty and the Kingdom of Morocco for their leadership in African diplomacy. We look forward to strengthening this partnership in the pursuit of our shared goal, the full recognition, development, and representation of the Pan-African diaspora and the people of African descent in the Parliament of African Union. We thank you in advance for your kind attention and assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel, for your intervention. And now we are coming to our last but not least, our last speaker, Jawad Ahmed. He is the human rights defender from Jammu and Kashmir, an Indian. So Ahmed, actually, he's going to talk to us about the minority challenges, the minority that are facing challenges in Pakistan and the role of the diaspora. You have the floor.
Thank you. Very good afternoon. My name is Javed and I am from Jammu and Kashmir, India. I'll be speaking on the plight of minorities in Pakistan. Pakistan, since its inception in 1947, has witnessed systematic and widespread oppression of its religious and ethnic minorities, including Hindus, Christians, and Sikhs. These communities, many of whom are from marginalized castes, continue to face atrocities at the hands of religious extremist groups. Disturbingly, the Pakistani state remains silent or complicit in these abuses, leading to severe violations of human rights. Religious minorities in Pakistan face continuous discrimination, deprivation of basic rights, and violent persecution. The Hindu and Sikh minorities in particular have endured forced conversions, abductions, and targeted killings. Young girls from these communities are forcibly married and converted to Islam, while their families face immense pressure to migrate, often fleeing to India for safety, and most of them are living in the Indian side of Jammu and Kashmir. Despite families face immense pressure to migrate, despite international human rights mechanisms, these violations persist with little or no intervention or accountability from Pakistan's government or global institutions. The destruction of minority places of worship, particularly Hindu temples, underscores the entrenched religious intolerance in the country. Thousands of temples have been desecrated or destroyed since 1947, yet the perpetrators have not been held accountable. The declining Hindu population, now reduced to less than 2% from over 15% at the time of partition, reflects the systematic targeting of these communities. Educational curriculum in Pakistan often promote intolerance and hatred towards Hindus, fostering a culture of exclusion and suspicion. Religious extremism has further marginalized minorities, with radical groups frequently committing acts of violence with repercussion. Media censorship in Pakistan often masks the true scale of these abuses, while social media platforms provide a glimpse into the harsh reality facing these communities. Christians, representing roughly 1.6% of Pakistan's population, are similarly marginalized. Many converted from Dalit communities in India prior to partition in hopes of escaping caste-based oppression. However, they continue to face both caste-based discrimination and religious persecution in Pakistan, particularly under the country's blasphemy laws, which are frequently used to target Christian communities. Christians, often viewed as proxies for Western interests, face increasing hostility, relegating them to the poorest strata of society. Pakistan's nationalist identity, built in opposition to a perceived Hindu India, exacerbates the plight of its minorities. This narrative not only invites religious persecution, but also encourages cultural and political discrimination against Hindus and other religious minorities. Pakistani Hindus, frequently seen as agents of India, face an environment where their rights are continually eroded with little protection from the state. The Indian diaspora has a very critical role to play in addressing these issues of minorities facing in Pakistan, especially in advocating for the protection of these minorities. Indian civil society, political leaders, and the global Indian community can amplify the voices of these marginalized groups, ensuring that the international community holds Pakistan accountable for its human rights violations. Furthermore, the Indian diaspora, which has thrived across the globe, must recognize its responsibility in fostering a global commitment to protecting minority rights. Advocacy for a safer environment for religious and ethnic minorities in South Asia, including Pakistan, is a moral imperative that must be championed in diplomatic, economic, and humanitarian efforts. In conclusion, Pakistan's treatment of its minorities demands urgent attention. The international community, including the United Nations Human Rights Council, must press Pakistan to uphold its obligations to protect the rights of all its citizens. This is not only a question of safeguarding human dignity, but also ensuring that the values of tolerance and pluralism are respected globally. The Indian diaspora, with its significant influence, should play an active role in this effort, advocating for justice and equality for all persecuted communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jawad. Well, thank you, Jawad. And luckily, we managed to fix the technical problems that we had to rejoin the founder and the president of CEDAC. And luckily, we have Eric online. Eric, just quickly, he's a former chairperson of the Burundi Global Diaspora. He's the current president and the founder of CEDAC. And his work with the Burundi Global Diaspora provide a perspective on how the diaspora community maintain the connection with their homeland. And the question that Eric is going to address today is are the minority group right has been respected in Burundi? And if yes, can you tell us, Mr. Eric, and also what about the Batu minority in Burundi? You have the floor, Eric.
Thank you very much. I would like at first to thank you for the organization of this conference. And I said by my presentation, my name is Eric Niragira. I'm president and the founder of CEDAC, but also I'm former president of Burundian Diaspora. So about the term of diaspora and the minority rights, if I refer to Burundian case, I would like to express my gratitude first for the government, because in Burundi we have 3 ethnic groups, which are Hutu, the majority one, and Tutsi at the second level, and the Twa. And if first you look at the government level, the high level, and I say in a government, you will see that even the minority composed by Twa, they have a minister, the Minister of Human Rights, the Minister of Gender and the Human Rights. So I would like to say that that is something like an effort that the government or the leadership of Burundi did to promote the minority rights. And if you look even in parliament or in any other institutions, you will see that minorities are represented. They are not represented as a minority, but they are taking part in the administration of Burundi. So this is a good example that I think other countries should follow. I thank you so much for this time. God bless you.
Thanks, Eric, for its very brief and fruitful intervention. And allow me just to go to sum up what our panelists have expressed. Firstly, join me to thank all our panelists and those who are here with us and those who are far away. This is such for bringing up your perspective in the issue of the minority, and not only the minority, but also the migrants, the refugees, and people who also are often facing the marginalization in an area where we hear about them and sometimes we don't get to hear about them. And this is the only space where there's always an ambassador who comes to represent their voice. And I believe today all our panelists, you are here, you are the voice of the forgotten one. You are the voice of the hidden one, and you are the voice of the people who are unable to speak and to hear and to see. So I really appreciate your insight. So let's just give them one round of applause. In regarding our very briefly summary, in regarding of our first intervention, I would just want to summarize what the speakers have mentioned. Anwar actually spoke widely about the discrimination that the Ahmadiyya groups are facing in Pakistan, as well as the persecution that they are facing. But not only that, despite all of this, they have contributed to the development, and it's in particular in the clean energy, and as well as in the developments in a different sector when it comes to educations and other sector. Boussif, I'm sorry, I always forget your name, I mispronounce your name, so forgive me. Also, she talks about the contributions of the migrants, in particular in Morocco, and also the role of the Moroccan government towards helping migrants to integrate through language courses and through also the integration of migrants into a business. And Habib also spoke about the persecution of the minority that is still continuing on a daily basis in Pakistan, and also he urged the international community not to allow the other crisis to overshadow the crisis of the minority in Pakistan. And in terms of our the second panelist, Carl spoke about the opportunity that will rise in terms of when we look at the current positions of African, and as someone who's an entrepreneur, he has a vision that through some of the recommendations that he proposed, we would get to a point where to reduce the migration and also as well as to offer an opportunity. And Robin, you mentioned something which is very important, that the recognition of the identity of the Egyptian community in the Balkan. And I believe this is something very crucial. And before even we say minority, first we have to recognize them as a minority. So they need an identity to be recognized as a minority. And we really appreciate your insight. And as well as you talked about the few Balkan countries took the initiative to recognize some of the Egyptian community in the Balkan, and as well as you mentioned something about the segregation, and I think it's something that we kind of like forgot about long time ago, since the the U.S. crisis in America and the black and white crisis, but it's coming back again. So it means that it still exists, and I hope that from this platform we could all raise our voice together to put an end to this segregation. And toward our next speaker, Joel, has actually first he mentioned, the petition toward the King of Morocco, and regarding the African migrants and the Pan-Africanism Parliament to be recognized. That's the first step, and I think it's something that's crucial and it needs to be recognized. And also he mentioned about the 6th African region to be also, and the role of the diaspora and this African region and the African descent also need to be recognized. And lastly, he also touched upon the freedom of movement of the goods within Africa, and which is something very crucial. And there's always a lesson to learn, and I believe that this is the fruit of the diaspora community, because we are not only learning here, but also we are taking some of this back home. And particularly like in Europe, they have a freedom of movement of the goods, so also why can't we have the same, replicate the same policy in Africa? And Jawad, thank you for drawing our attention about the violation of the minority in Kashmir, and also the lack of an accountability. And on top of that also you have mentioned the role of the social media, and I believe the social media in some area have played a pivotal role in a contribution of the development, but in some area also had been used as a weapon of the destruction to the minority group, or also to silence the minority group. And lastly, Eric has also, he concluded the session, so I don't need to go over what he has said, but he has concluded the side event. So this will allow us to have at least 22 minutes for the, for the intervention and the question. So now I'm opening the floor for the question. So briefly, make your question short, direct your question toward the speakers, which speakers, and introduce yourself briefly. You have the floor.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. Hafid Wardiri from the Interknowing Foundation in Geneva. Happy to be there with you and happy to learn more about minorities. I enjoyed to hear everyone, but I want to ask a question. How all these minorities, who are sometimes used one against the other, how they are able to be together, to be in front of the majority who denied their existence and their rights? Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I'm just taking a note. I see Aisha. I do, sorry, forgive me, I'm just doing a gender balance. Don't get me wrong.
Aïcha Doui, la présidente de l'Observatoire international de Genève. Donc, je vais faire deux petites remarques. La première, c'est tout d'abord, je veux féliciter tous les porte-paroles des minorités et des diasporas qui se soucient des droits de ces deux catégories, et je vous invite de faire de ce panel un brainstorming pour sortir avec des recommandations pour trouver d'autres pistes avec les mécanismes spécialisés avec les Nations Unies pour entrer en interaction et trouver des débouchés pour ces deux catégories pour promouvoir leurs droits au sein de leur société. Deuxièmement, je vais faire l'interaction avec l'intervention de M. Carl, parce que je fais partie de Sahara occidental. Donc, je crois qu'il s'agit ici, parce que je suis saharienne, donc il ne s'agit pas d'une minorité, mais il s'agit d'une partie de la diversité marocaine que connaît tout le monde, premièrement. Deuxièmement, concernant la jouissance des droits économiques et sociaux, parce que moi, j'ai travaillé longtemps là-bas pendant une vingtaine d'années. Maintenant, je suis basée à Genève, mais je connais bien le dossier parce que je suis la représentante de la société civile en négociation avec l'Union européenne pour tous les contrats qui sont basés ici sur l'exploitation des ressources humaines. Et en même temps, je fais partie du groupe de négociation avec l'envoyé spécial du secrétaire général. Donc, d'une façon démocratique, je crois que la population est toujours présente à travers les différentes élections pour s'exprimer ouvertement de leur consentement, comment on peut exploiter les ressources humaines, les ressources naturelles. C'est ça, parce que c'est tout à fait normal, à travers le pacte international des droits politiques et économiques et même des droits civils et politiques, la démocratie exige deux mécanismes, le contrôle et l'observation, plus le consentement, ce qui a déjà réalisé et dans le mécanisme au sein de Sahara occidental. Deuxièmement aussi, il ne faut pas oublier les efforts incroyables qui sont toujours félicités, même avec les rapports des Nations Unies, avec les rapports du Conseil de sécurité, qui félicitent tous ces efforts de développement économique au sein des provinces sud du Maroc. D'où aussi l'exemple très connu de nouveaux modèles de développement économique à travers les provinces sud du Maroc. Et je ne vais pas mettre beaucoup de points ici parce qu'on peut trouver pas mal de matières, soit à travers les Nations Unies, soit à travers la presse internationale pour nous découvrir ce nouveau modèle économique qui sera un exemple pour nouer la relation avec l'Afrique et avec l'Europe. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. So I consider that I know she has, for some of non-French speakers, so she, this was like an intervention, and it's pretty much about, I mean, what it has been mentioned on the podium, and as well as what she has also, I mean, what she's really working on. So I believe this is not a question, and if it is, so I think it's going to be one of the longest questions that, and I'm scared, a little bit scared that we don't actually have enough time to address. So I'll take one more question, and I will allow the panelists to answer. I'm going to go back there, and then I'll come back. So I do like back and front. Yes, sir, yes. You have the floor.
Thank you, European Public Law Organization. I have a comment on Dr. Rubin's intervention, which I found very interesting. However, there was the term Macedonia used as if Macedonia is a country. And I think that what he meant is North Macedonia, which is the name it has been admitted and used in the UN. Macedonia is a region in Greece, and it does not face the problems that he has mentioned with the minorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your intervention. So this is a comment. It's not it's not a question. I will take one more question, and then I will go back to the panelists.
Thank you so much. I feel I have just comments, please. So briefly, first of all, I would like to thank for choosing the theme. Very interesting theme. I hope there will be opportunities arising from challenges. You know, we have a lot of challenges right now all over the world regarding minorities issue, regarding migrant issues. We have discrimination. We have hate speech. We have xenophobia. We have seen in the United States, in Europe, in Northern Africa, elsewhere, there are challenges regarding the right of minority and right of migrant. Second element, in the NGO forum, where I represent the NGO forum in Banjul, we have the representative of Diaspora here. And the NGO forum also focus on the right of diaspora. And we thank Mr. Joel for raising this issue of having a place within the parliament. And it's a good idea. I think there should be a coalition between civil society, especially Africans, and to push for having this seat within the African, not only the African Parliament, but also the other organs of the African Union. The third element is the issue of minorities in Northern Africa. I had in the past, since 2020 and 2021, we had a partnership with the High Commission of Human Rights here in Geneva to organize a forum on minorities and the Middle East. And our organization was organizing this in partnership. And we focused on the right of minorities, especially in Libya, especially in Tito's camps, where dark-skinned people are not integrated. They face many challenges regarding discrimination against them. I thank you so much.
Thank you. I still consider this is also a comment. It's a general comment. It's not a question. I believe I'm going to take one more question. And please, I'm kindly asking the audience, if it's your turn to take the floor, please make it short. And if you have a comment, please make it 1 minute for a comment, because we want to allow the panelists to answer the question. So yes, I'm coming. Just a second. I'm seeing. I'm going to take the question from the sir. I recognize you, but I'm doing...
Recognizable finally? Thank you
No,
very
I'm
much to
doing
give me the
order.
floor. My name is Riyad Bazia. I'm a human rights activist in the UN Geneva since more than 2 decades. I'm also a humanitarian, such as I am international correspondent. What I want to about Kashmir region, I'm following also this topic in the UN since a while. You said since 47. Then I can tell you your revendication started 1 year before the proclamation of the Human Rights Universal Declaration. Anyway, what it happened since then until now, your recommendations are not recognizable, are not clear. You should be clear on your recommendation. When the United Nations implement UN mission in Kashmir, like that, we can talk more, elaborate more. And here, and I write my question, another question to Mr. Zaman and Mr. Carl, because about minority, it has been raised, yes, in Balkan region, Greece and the Balkan, all what it happened, the implosion started thanks or because Kosovo, and ended because or thanks Kosovo. But the minority, linguistic minority, ethnic minority, various minority, Macedonia, the unique region, got the independence without armed conflict among the 7. So the economical, this is my last point, the economical potential in Western Sahara, what you raised, I invite you to see what it happened, what all the world we see last week in Timor-Leste. You see what it happened in Timor-Leste? There was the UN mission implemented in the same time, MINURSO in Western Sahara and in Timor-Leste. All what it, and the successor of Kofi Annan, Guterres, visited Timor-Leste. So, you see, if we believe in MINURSO, if me, as a head of MINURSO, hear you, Mr. Carl, or he didn't hear you, yeah, let me ask my question. I didn't ask you anything, please. I didn't interrupt you.
Please, please, please. Let's just
Let
have
me
the order.
finish.
Let's just have
You
the
are not
order
the
of the room.
moderator.
Please, let's just have the order
Yeah,
of the room.
shut up. Leaders, so the majority of MINURSO leaders, you are aware also about Kashmir, they used to be Americans, former American ambassadors also. James Baker, he used to be also the head of MINURSO. So about the potential economical,
Can you
this
sum
is
up,
the
please?
comparable with Timor-Leste and Western Sahara. Hopefully my question it used to be clear about minority in Balkan, about potential economical potential, and about the future revendication in Kashmir.
Thank you,
My
thank you.
thanks to you.
Please, let's just, yes, I'm coming, just a second. Let me just remind the order of the room. I think we should have one, language-wise, 2, behavior, 3, we are all adults, we are not a kid, so the way we respond at each other, it has to be on order, and it has to be with the respect of despite of our age differences. So please forgive me if I interrupt, but I have to give the floor to the panelists because we still have 10 minutes, and I'm just letting the panelists know that the first question is a general question for all the panelists, and I'm only allowing each panelist 1 minute. 1 minute. So the question is, how can the minority comes together to overcome the domination of the majority? This is the first question. And the rest, I believe most of them, they are intervention, but there is a question directed to you, Robin, and there is a question that directed to you, Habib, but I'm offering you 1 minute and 1 minute each to answer this question. So I will start with Jawad.
Thank you so much for the first question. How do minorities come together and face challenges? See, I come from Jammu and Kashmir, India. Kashmir, unfortunately, was divided into 3 parts. One part was illegally occupied by Pakistan in 47 because we Kashmiris have signed an instrument of agreement, that is instrument of accession with the Union of India. So the parts taken over by Pakistan, they have mistreated them. Their minorities are facing this kind of suppression. In Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh regions, it is world's most beautiful place, and we call it paradise on earth. There is no discrimination in our part. But on the other side, Pakistan has given one part of it on a platter to China. They are also facing discrimination. This common platform for us, a friend of mine from the illegal occupied Jammu Kashmir region, which is illegally occupied by Pakistan, we are sitting together, raising this issue. So common platforms are needed. That's where we can raise these issues to challenge dominance of majorities. Thank you.
Thank you. In these concluding remarks, I want to thank you, the chairperson of the Swiss Press Club, for giving us the opportunity to raise the issue of protection of minority and diaspora. Professor Abdul Kader in front of me asked me how to overcome the challenges. Yes, we recognize the challenges and we have chosen to arise from them, taking them as an opportunity to be actors of our own destiny. What is grand is that all treaties have already been signed, ratified by African Union, including the United Nations. For the United Nations, it is through the International Decade for People of African Descent that wants recognition, justice, and development. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And I also just want a quick reminder to the audience. I mean, if you don't get the chance to ask the question, we will always be around after the session. I mean, you can ask your question, to the panelists, to whoever. I think we do have some time to stay around. I mean, maybe through a coffee, a quick question. So I'll give you the floor. You have 1 minute, please.
أولاً أشكركم على حضوركم المتميز وتفاعلكم. شكراً جزيلاً. لكن أريد فقط توضيح أمر أشار إليه الأخ أو الأستاذ كارل. أنا مثال حقيقي وحي بخصوص ساكنة المناطق الجنوبية الصحراوية المغربية. حضوري اليوم كمدافعة عن حقوق الإنسان وكفاعلة مدنية من مدينة الداخلة الأقاليم الجنوبية المملكة المغربية سليلة المقاومة وجيش التحرير. درست هناك بالمدرسة العمومية المغربية وأتمتع بجميع حقوقي الاقتصادية والمدنية والسياسية والثقافية كمغربية صحراوية في وطنها. سعيدة جدا لكل المبادرات الملكية ومجهودات الدولة على ما تقدمه من خدمات لتنمية الأقاليم الجنوبية للمملكة. بيان سور تحت الرعاية السامية لصاحب الجلالة الملك محمد السادس نصره الله وأيده. وبفضله اليوم نحن نحقق بفضله وبفضل حكمته وتبصرته وسياسته الرشيدة نحقق اليوم انتصارات دبلوماسية وعلى رأسها تواجدنا برئاسة مجلس حقوق الإنسان. وشكرا.
Yes, Rehman, you have the floor.
What is the question for me?
The question is how the minority, why can the minority comes together to overcome the dominance of the majority? And there is another question about, it wasn't a question, I think I haven't got the question, it's more about your intervention about the Balkan and also about, I think, Macedonia. I mean, sir, and one of our interveners mentioned that I think Macedonia is not a country, it's a region.
No.
So I think, yeah, but you have 1 minute. I know you will disagree, but it's you have 1 minute.
First, a question of the gentleman here. I generally think that in Europe, Council of Europe has a good instrument actually to protect, and I think that there's something similar have to implement on a world level, the United Nations. So Framework Convention of the Council of Europe and European Charter for Minority Languages or Regional Languages. I think it's not ideal. I think it's not ideal, but it's a good. Up to now is the best, let's say, instrument. I think we have to make some similar for the whole world, for Asia, for Africa, and of course maybe CIRID and Joel. Maybe it's good to think that once in a 4 years here in Geneva to have one World Congress of Minorities. Why not? let's do something non-formal, and we make resolutions that will go into the United Nations. Regarding the Balkans, I didn't understand very well what is the question, but generally, that are opinions. And I think my PowerPoint presentation was North Macedonia, so I don't know why you reacted. And I'm using North Macedonia. Macedonians is something, another issue, but North Macedonia is the name of the state.
Yes, Carl, you have the floor.
Okay, how to bring minorities together? It's very simple. If you look at some examples in the world, the people who created Apple computers, Apple iPhones, and so on, that's Steve Jobs. He was from Syria. That's just one. I mean, we can go down a whole list of them. Just as I said, there's 60 areas of conflict because of minorities. Now, what I suggest is that one gets together in cooperatives. This lady, she was, saying that they have everything going for them in southern Morocco or in the Western Sahara, but they have political problems. Apart from that, money talks and bullshit walks. So let's get the money going. Let's get the entrepreneurs going.
My friend, it's a conflict. The Kashmir is a very complicated and long-standing. It's a very less time here to explain what the United Nations done and what will be. In short, August 1948, the UN resolution was passed. Pakistan invasion in state of Jammu Kashmir. Pakistan must withdraw their army and civil contingent from the state of Jammu Kashmir, while India will be reduced their forces 70% and 30% forces will be there until unless the plebiscite will be held. And Pakistan denied to withdraw their troops and civil contingent. The conflict is day by day goes complicated, long-standing, and people are suffering by this. This is the short answer. If we want, we can sit together, we can discuss in detail, but this forum is very limited time. I don't want to eat the time or kill the time. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. Allow me and join me to acknowledge the contribution of our panelists and as well as the participation of our audience. And my sincere apology to some of the audience that whom I have not recognized their question. And I believe that we do have some time to discuss over a coffee break later on. So, finally, also in Swiss, we do respect the time, and we are in a Swiss press club. So we do respect the time, and we want to end this, this fruitful side event, and I hope that these side events will be the first and also offer like a milestones of the many other side events to come in the future, and in particular to discuss about the issue of the minority. And when I say minority, are not only specifically the people who are living in the country. Minority could be referred to a migrants, minority could refer to a refugee, minority could be referred to a people who are persecuted in an unknown area, minority could be also, could replicate even our existence here in Switzerland as well. Some of us, they consider us a majority, some of us consider us minority. But most importantly, here we do have our rights and we are accessing our fully right. And we believe that also it's offering us a platform where we could bring the voice of others. And without further ado, I would like to ask all the panelists to join me to give one round of applause to all of our panelists and to your approach. Thank you. Thank you.